everyone. Welcome to the Village Demand Presents Honoring Our Black Students for Black Student Success Week. I'm truly privileged and super excited to be here with everyone today, and we're very thankful for you all listening in as we have this exciting conversation with a few of our students across Northern California to talk about their experiences as Black students. And so the reason why this is so important to the Village Demands is because it's embedded in part of our mission in itself. And so part of our mission is examining and interrogating systems, structures, action, policies, procedure, and practices that impede the success of Black students and propose new ideas, strategies, and approaches to advance the collective agenda of Black faculty, staff, and students. And so I'm Dr. Sophia Forbes. I'm the Dean of Science and Math at Chabot College, and I have the privilege today of just sitting down and having this wonderful conversation with 5 of our beautiful Black students. And so I'm going to turn it over to each of them. Jhailyn will go first and introduce herself, and then we'll just piggyback and go around the room, the Zoom room in itself, and we have some questions that we're going to have a dialogue around and just be open. And we hope that you all who are watching today really enjoy this conversation. And should you have any questions at the end, we will put up our contact information where you could get more information about the Village Demand in itself and how you can become a member and support our students and the cause that we're having right now. So I'll have Jhailyn go ahead and introduce herself first.
Hello, my name is Jalen Bryant. I'm a third-year student at Monterey Penninsula College, majoring in the Administration of Justice, Political Science, and Psychology. I'm also the secretary of our Black Student Union and a peer mentor at TRIO.
And Isaiah, do you want to go next?
Hello, my name is Isaiah Veal. I'm a second-year student at Chabot, also a second-year basketball player, and I am the vice president of the Striving Black Brothers Coalition here on campus at Chabot, and I am a student assistant worker for the EOPS program.
Kameron?
Hi, my name is Kameron Sims. I'm a second-year student here at Chabot College. I'm a communications major as well as the president of the Black Congress. I'm also a member of the Mojo program and a peer guide.
Kaeliah?
Hi, my name is Kaeliah. I'm a first generation student. My major is biology. I'm in the programs Moja, EOPS, BSU, TRIO, and those are the programs that I have joined at Monterey.
And finally, Skylar.
Hello, everyone. I'm Skylar Robinson. I'm a second-year student at Chabot. I major in communications. I'm in the EOPS program. I'm also the president of the Striving Black Brothers Coalition, which is a Black men's support group that we have on campus. I'm a member of the men's basketball team, as well as a peer guide in general counseling and special programs. And I'm looking to graduate this spring from Chabot and continue my education and athletics.
Perfect. Thank you all. So the first question, and we just piggyback off of each other and go around the room. And so the first question that I have for our panelists today is, what are some of the struggles that you've experienced as a Black student? Struggles or obstacles that you've experienced as a Black student? So whoever wants to go first can just unmic, and then we'll just piggyback and go from there.
I'll start us off. For me personally, I grew up in an area filled with mostly Asians and white people. So for me in high school, it was kind of hard to find people I identified with. There's usually only pockets of Black students, and that's usually just within like the BSU or clubs like that. So going to Chabot and being a part of Striving Black Brothers and connecting with several Black staff members and instructors and classified professionals, it gave me sort of like a safe space, which is one of the things that I really enjoy about Striving Black Brothers, is that it's a safe space for Black men. So one of the struggles was just finding a safe space and just people I identify with. So that definitely changed my time at Chabot.
As far as my educational background, I would say that I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's a very diverse place for me growing up. And there were many times growing up where I would be the only person of like a Black heritage in the class. I didn't honestly have a Black teacher or instructor until I was in college at Chabot my freshman year. So I think being able to relate to some of the curriculum that has been taught to me throughout my life has been a major struggle, because throughout the courses of the year, there's only about 1 month, which is Black History Month, that Black history is actually taught throughout the schools, and it's not even heavily taught. Like the impact that Black people have had throughout history in full has not truly been taught. So I would say that was a big struggle for me.
Hi, I'm Kaeliah. I grew up in the Coachella Valley. It's right next to Palm Springs. We don't have many Black people out here. Me and my siblings were one of the only Black people at my school. We also never had any Black teachers, and during Black History Month was the only time we were ever taught Black culture, unless it was from our family members. And I feel like that just needs to change, as I feel like we have done so much in our society, and it needs to be taught more to the younger generations as well as older generations, because I feel like not a lot of people know about our culture. So that was probably the main obstacle at my school, because I was in BSU since I was in middle school, and I've always been the only one that had been teaching all my friends on what they can and can't say, and then also what can be deemed as racist or not.
I had a similar experience as Skylar. I went to Castro High, which is a predominant white and Asian school. So there was pockets of Black students. So for me, it was hard to find people who looked like me and understood me on that level. I was a member of the BSU there. To give you an idea of the amount of Black people in the school, there was about 12 people who came to each meeting, and a few of the members were other races. So it was a very small school, but coming to Chabot, I was a member of the Moja program. So immediately I felt welcomed, and it was really fun and interesting for me to be around people who look like me. And that was a great experience for me.
I grew up in Monterey, California. This area is primarily older white people that come to retire, or super young people that identify as white, even if they aren't white. And they're coming here primarily for especially through the military and things like that. And I just want to capitalize on what everyone said. We are definitely underrepresented at any institution that we're at. And this leads to a lot of uncertainty, like they were saying with classes. A lot of the curriculum, our history is told in the wrong way. There's a lot of times where we have to be our own voice because we don't have faculty to back us up, just because they don't truly understand. There's a lack of support on our campuses. We're so lucky. With NPC, the Black Student Union came in 2019, as well as Emoja. So it was a fight. But for me personally, the thing that really bothered me is that I was really misunderstood. A lot of faculty, when you're in a area where there's a lot of white people, they don't really understand the struggles. For instance, having to take care of your siblings because our parents are at work, or we're not able to have internet because we just can't afford to have that bill for the month. And we're constantly fighting against that stereotype and that the way that America has presented us to be. So a lot of the times when young Black students have learning disabilities, they're looked at as deviant or something along that lines, when that's never the case. Or they might be tired. As I stated, we might have to take care of our siblings while our parents are at work. And we're never really given the benefit of the doubt. Also, another thing is, like, each and every time someone is done wrong by our government, I personally take it to heart, and it's really hard for me to show up the next day around people who just don't understand what I'm going through. So personally, it wasn't like the education aspect, but it was everything else for me.
Those are really powerful. And I think I bring it back to, you guys mentioned a few things: curriculum, right? And so just being able to see someone that looks like you within the classroom, and not just look like you in itself, but also being able to bring in that culturally relevant piece into whatever classes that you are taking. And I think that is something that we have to constantly advocate for. And I'm really just excited and happy that you guys are talking about that aspect in itself, because you are correct. That piece in itself is missing, where you have to wait 1 month out of the year to see representation. And even when you do see it, sometimes it is not delivered correctly, right? So I want you guys to still constantly keep speaking up about, these are the things that needs to be involved in the curriculum so that you can see yourself in the curriculum. So I guess the other question, just to build off of that, in terms of some of the struggles, what are some of the services that you've received throughout your career that has helped you to propel? Like Skylar is about to graduate and move on to bigger things, right? So what are some of the services that you've received throughout your academic career that has helped you to be successful, and not just successful, but also help to uplift you and motivate you to actually continue on your journey when some days you feel like, oh man, the world is against me and I really don't want to get up, but you still do it. So I would like for you all to just share, what are some of the services that you've received to help support you throughout? Could be mentors, whatever the case might be, programs that you're in. So just some examples so we could share it with everyone else.
For me, Striving Black Brothers definitely played a huge role in my success at Chabot, which is, like I said before, a men's support group. And our coordinator, Art Barbosa, he's worked at Chabot for 30 years. He's been a counselor. He does a really good job of mentoring all of us. And I've worked closely with him since I've been the president for the last 2 years. So he does things like, we have, and I'm also in the EOPS program. So we get like priority counselors, and we get things like gas cards or bus cards, food cards. So those things have definitely been a great help. And in our meetings, our weekly meetings, we check in around grades, personal life, what's going on in our government and the climate around the nation. So just having, like I said, like a safe space where you feel like you can afford to be vulnerable and you won't get attacked when you're vulnerable or looked at like in a different way if you're, sharing stuff that you're genuine about. So yeah, that's definitely helped me.
Some of the services that have helped me are along the lines that some of the services that help Skylar as well, like the Striving Black Brothers Coalition. Like he said, Art has been an amazing mentor for me for 2 years now. I met him since I was 18, and I can honestly say that I'm not the same person I was when I first met him throughout this whole entire journey. Also, the sports programs on campus have helped me as well. Coach Manos has helped me with my schedule every semester when I sign up for classes and things like that. And my coach, Keenan McMiller, he asks me almost every day, like, how am I feeling? How am I doing in classes? And that's pretty big. A lot of times throughout my educational journey, like a lot of people didn't truly care how I felt, like they would just say, go to practice, go to school, do this and do that. And it wasn't really an emotional sense of like, do these people just want me to do what they want me to do, or are they actually caring about my well-being? And that's something that has really helped me as far as being successful in my journey at Chabot and my college experience. And my support system at home has been extraordinary as well. Having both my parents, a Black mother and a Black father who both have their masters. And it's something that I strive for every single day, to be at that level or to surpass them in what they've done and continue to try and build a generational success with education.
I just want to piggyback off of that real quick. Well said, Isaiah, but having a Black coach for the first time here at Chabot College, Keenan McMiller, that has definitely changed the game for me, and I assume Isaiah as well. Because like Isaiah mentioned before, it's usually just basketball, where Coach McMillan, he's a Black coach. He's around Black issues. He knows how we're feeling, as Black men and being a target in America. He knows, he checks in with us on a personal level. He checks in with us on grades because he knows it means that much more for Black men in America. And, he connects with our parents. So I definitely want to give him his props.
Absolutely.
I can also agree with Isaiah with like a lot of peer mentors and professors or teachers growing up, they didn't really care. They just wanted us to do what they wanted us to do. They didn't really care what our feelings were towards that. But a lot of the services that have helped me have been all the clubs I've joined, which is TRIO, Emoja, BSU, and EOPS, because like for they always give you resources. If you need any resources, you just ask and they'll give you and like all the information to it, as well as they'll help you apply with scholarships. If you need to write for your persuasive essays, they'll help you with that. They also, if they are major or if they majored in the same field as you, they will definitely give you a lot of insights on that. And TRIO also, they also gave us school supplies. So the school supplies really did help us out, especially when coronavirus first hit, because not a lot of people had enough money, especially me. I did not have any money. So TRIO did really help me out with that, as well as Emoja, and that's the services that have helped me.
The biggest service that helped me was Emoja. We had the study hall space, which is now the BCRC that we went to. And there's just a group of us who went there. We studied, put in extra work, and talked with each other. And that was really big for me. Based on what I said before, coming from a space where there wasn't a lot of Black students, to sit down with other Black students and have the same goal and the same intentions of wanting to succeed, that was huge for me. And also having the professors and counselors to come through the space and talk with them, and just not even on a school level, but on a personal level, like their educational journey, challenges that they face in school. It's nice to really have someone to look up to who looks like you. So that was a big thing for me. And also having my parents at home, I was blessed to watch my mom go through her educational journey. She had her BA when I was younger, but she went back to school when I was in middle school to get her master's, and continued through when I was in high school to get her doctorate. She's about to graduate actually. And the other day she got her robes, and I looked at her, I said, I want to get one of those one day. So that's really big for me.
I couldn't agree with what everybody said anymore. First, just being in a place where you're having people that look like you constantly around you and supporting you. I also, when I came to MPC, was on my first ever sports team. It was track and field, where I had a Black coach, and I did so much better than I've done ever before, not just because I was at a different level playing sports, but really because of my coach. He did such an amazing job of relating to us Black students and really being there to support. Also, I got lucky that our sports counselor is also Black as well. His name is LaRon, and he knew just like the right amount of pushing us, as well as like not taking it too far. Whereas with other counselors, for instance, I'm in TRIO and Emoja, since they're used to dealing with students that don't necessarily do well in school, they kind of coddled me. So they didn't want me to test my limits and take any more than 12 units. But when I worked with LaRon, who was a successful African-American man, he pushed me and allowed me to get all of these associates within a matter of 2 years, really. And then, yeah, having an area with Emoja where I can just go around other Black people. I don't have to explain why things hurt in a certain way. There's just this common sense of understanding and knowledge. It's really, really amazing. So what everyone said, I agree with 1000%.
Wow, this is awesome, y'all. I think just the idea of you have so much Skylar mentioned his coach. All of you mentioned your coaches that have been truly instrumental, your parents that you see. And Isaiah, I will tell you that that is really awesome. Just congrats to your mom, because I can just that joy I see in your voice when you're hearing your voice when you're talking about her, just to see her walk down. And I'm doing this for her because I think it's just really awesome to see people in your lives that you could look up to, that's, you know, being truly positive. And so I guess I wanted to build off of it. And some of you already touched on this already, which are, who are the people at your college has helped you the most, and have their how have they most impact your success? So I want you to build off a little bit more. I know you talked about your coaches, but is there anyone else, not just on your campuses as well, but within your circle, that have truly helped to support you and pushed you forward to be more successful than you even think you can be, right? Because sometimes I think we hold ourselves back because you're like, no, but then someone else sees this in you and say like, no, you can do that. You can do that. You have it in you. And just the simple fact that they tell you that, you actually believe it, and then you see that come through, right? So I want you guys just to elaborate on just a few more people in your lives that have truly helped you to be where you are now and pushing you to even go much further.
I'd say at my school personally, Stan and Elroy, they really do help me push myself, as originally I was only going to take very little credits, but they were telling me how they believe in me, and they told me how I should be able to take more credits. And they weren't just pushing me for success, they were pushing me because they knew I can do it. They have been a tremendous help on me, and they always are there to listen. They answer all the phone calls I call them about. And honestly, Stan and Elroy are like a godsend to my school. They work in Emoja and BSU. They're faculty members, but they're like the best faculty members that I feel anyone at Monterey can really meet.
For me personally, I know I've talked about some mentors at Chabot through like the Striving Black Brothers Coalition and in EOPS, but mainly I think it would be my support system at home and my peers, you know, my teammates and my brothers in the Striving Black Brothers Coalition. You know, one thing my dad, he always mentions to me, the work for today is for tomorrow, not today. You know, a lot of times we get caught up in the process of right now, like the pain we go through initially, and not realizing that that pain will always lead to something that is greater later on. You know, it'll be greater later. And I think now, like in my life, anyone around me always pushes me to be great. Um, you know, with my teammates, Skylar, he always tells me every day in practice if I'm slacking on anything, he'll let me know for sure. If my coach, he'll let me know. You know, so I just try and make sure that everyone around me cares for my well-being and cares for theirs also. You know, because I see a lot of times people, they don't truly care about, you know, how they carry themselves and where they want to go. And so I make sure everyone around me has goals that are aligned with where they want to be in life, because you know who you hang out with is who you'll become. If you hang out with 10 successful people, you'll be the 11th. You know, so that's really been key for me throughout this whole process.
Yeah, I'm similar to what Isaiah said. I think it's really important to have peers that push you in the right direction. Me and Isaiah and our other teammate, Izzy, we've all been working together. We've been in Striving Black Brothers together, and we're also teammates. We came in at the same time, we're leaving at the same time. So we really built an important bond over these past 2 years. We do a good job holding each other accountable. We still argue every single day, but we also hold each other accountable every single day without taking it personal. So that's something I definitely really appreciate. And it's something that I think has been a part of me maturing since I graduated from high school. And since I'm leaving from community college, I've narrowed my circle down tremendously. I recognize the difference between real friends that want to uplift you and see you succeed. And then the difference between like an acquaintance who, you know, you're cool with them, you might kick it with them every now and then, but like on an emotional, mental level, like they're not necessarily your friend in the way that they want to see you succeed the same way as like a genuine friend would. And then I also touched on my coach, Keegan McMiller, my coordinating for Strutting Black Brothers, Art Barbosa. I also want to mention my boss for, I'm a peer guide and general counseling, Justino Panella. He's done a really good job. He's a counselor at Chabot. He's done a really good job making sure I'm taken care of, not just on a work level, but he also checks in with me on an academic level. He helped me write some of my applications for 4 years that I submitted. So he's a really good bridge that I've made, as well as like Dean Wilson, Dr. Wilson. It's really cool to see someone in a position of like power on campus, like Dr. Wilson. She's a successful Black woman. She has a very nice family. So it's really awesome to see her do her thing. And then I also want to touch on my support system at home. I have two parents. They're both from East Oakland, so they grew up very differently than I grew up. They're both first generation. They both have their bachelors. They have great jobs. So I'm really blessed to have two supportive parents in my household who have good jobs. They have their education, and they just want to see the same for us. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have a few people at Chabot who really helped me. The first person is Miss Williams, my English teacher. She really helped me a lot. In middle school and high school, I had a few experiences that made me kind of insecure as far as my intelligence level. And I said something in class one day, and she talked to me after class, and she said what I said was really powerful, and she encouraged me to speak more. And that meant a lot to me because it made me feel like I felt validated, you know? Like I felt like I had something to say, and it meant something to someone. And that meant a lot to me. Two other people who helped me a lot were Tom DeWitt and Tommy Reed. They made me feel that I had the potential to make change and be the change. And they also showed me what it means to be intentional in my actions and what I hope to provide to others. Another person is Justino, who I work with as a peer guide, like Skylar said. He showed me what it means to be intentional in my work, where every little detail means something. So those are a few people who mean a lot. Also my parents, who I spoke about earlier.
For me, of course, I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. Well, my mom, my grandmother, and my sister. Those are people that I saw every day, and they always just made sure to let me know if I was doing something right and to really just boost my confidence, knowing that going through life without a father, there might be times where I feel like I'm not enough. So they did an amazing job. And then later on in my life, this amazing man named David Dupart came. He was just a huge mentor, like everyone else is saying, someone who was very successful in life that looked just like me, that had an immense impact on who I was, made me feel like I could really go somewhere. And coming to MPC and being on student government and looking at the way that our school works and the way things are implemented, it really made me realize there's a lot of people that even in my past, I didn't really necessarily like because they're always pushing me and telling me I'm not doing this right, or always making me do stuff I don't want to do, like attend certain meetings. But I realized like a lot of people that have been in my life, I'm very blessed, supported me. From Miss Lakeisha here, fighting for Emoja to come on our campus. This woman is so amazing. She's asked us to come to some meetings and I'm like, I don't really go. I don't want to go. But then I end up going and it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Also the teachers that have decided to partner up with Emoja so that we know that there's people there that are here for us and if we need like that extra help after class. Also, Mr. Elroy, he's done an amazing job at just pushing to have support for Black students on campus. And yeah, just our faculty, our classified faculty, even to our new president and superintendent, we go to him with an issue and he's like, we're gonna find something to do about it. So I'm very, very blessed that I just always had an amazing support system around me.
That is really awesome, because I can speak from experience as well. Having that support system in itself will really help you. And I'm going to copy Cameron said to make change and be the change. I really love that phrase in itself, right? So thank you for sharing that with us. I want to move on and ask you guys. So we've been, especially during COVID, this has been happening way before COVID, but I felt like being in shelter in place, folks, there was no sports, no distraction. And I think for the first time, America took the blindfold off and truly started looking and seeing what was happening in this country for what it was and not ignoring it. And so I want to shift gears a little bit and just ask you all to just share with us how has the verdict of the murder of Mr. George Floyd impacted you, specifically in terms of your educational experiences and goals? So whoever wants to feel free to start sharing first. That's fine. We'll just do the same round robin kind of thing.
For me, in the summer, when the Black Lives Matter movement had all that momentum, it was definitely hard for me because I was also taking summer classes and I was still doing sports kind of on the side. But it was definitely hard for me to sort of focus on other things when like more deeper things that could affect you personally are happening around the world and you're seeing your people getting killed left and right on video. And that's what if it wasn't on video, nobody would believe it. So just having the verdict come out definitely gives me a peace of mind, but it's almost bittersweet. Just, I saw someone get killed the same day that the verdict came out. So, I mean, it definitely gave me a peace of mind, but at the same time, I just know how much work there's still to be done in this country. And I know there's a lot of people with that same mentality, that same negative mentality that we've been fighting for years. It seems to be either someone's far right or far left, and there's really like a lack of in between. But educationally, it's definitely hard to, I think, manage everything when your feelings are kind of all over the place and you're not necessarily feeling safe when you're leaving your house. It's kind of hard to focus on the assignment that's due at 11:59. So, yeah.
Well, for me, when the announcement came out that he was convicted, I saw a lot of people very happy, very, very cheerful that justice was served. And I feel like it should be like that, because something was done terribly wrong to a man who lost his family lost him, and that's a terrible thing. But also I kind of feel conflicted because I didn't feel too much joy. Like, I noticed people were cheering because the justice system actually did the right thing. Like, to me, that felt kind of crazy. Like, we cheer because the right thing was done, and I may be, a little tough on the situation, but there have been many other cases where things like this have happened, but the police were just let go and nothing happened to them, so this is just one of many things that should have went this way, and now it's definitely a step in the right direction, though, I believe.
So I felt two different feelings. First, when the George Floyd murder took place, I work in a grocery store, so I see a lot of different people with different political ideologies. To say so, to give you an idea of like the area I am, it's predominantly white, and there's a few like conservative flags in some of the houses in my area, and a few people who come in with like the Blue Lives Matter masks and the Trump masks, and there's just they made a few remarks that were kind of like made me look at them sideways and built to the already intense climate that I was feeling. And I appreciate that the black customers at the store, they always said like, be careful, because they knew the area I was in and how people were. There's a few instances where people in that time like went off on me, irritated because I was too close to their car, where I was just trying to get the carts and do my job. So it was hard in that time during the climate to focus on my 11:59 deadline, like Skylar said, when there's so much going on around me. When the verdict happened, though, I was happy that America finally did the right thing and it called a murderer a murderer. The same day, I watched a 16-year-old girl get killed, and I saw another video where in New Jersey, they took these kids' bikes for not having, I guess in the town, you're supposed to have their bikes with the license or something like that. And one of the kids get detained for trying to advocate for themselves and defend themselves. So it was kind of like a wake-up call that, yes, this good thing happened, which should have happened, but there's still work to do. Unfortunately, I've had a few wake-up calls like that. But yeah, it pushed me though, because I feel like education is the way to change things. So it made me focus even more on my education and say, I need to focus, try to educate myself as much as possible to try and make change and hopefully stop what's going on. So that was my experience.
Same thing when it comes to me. I can definitely relate to you, Kameron, because I work at a kayak shop where it's nothing but, excuse me, entitled white people coming in and out. And let me tell you, when the trial first started, I had customers come in and I'd speak to them and they would literally look me dead in my face and then walk away like, okay. And I'm a guide, so I take people out on the ocean and give them tours of the ocean. And there's people who come in and they'll request a new guide because I'm Black. And I'm like, okay, like, I definitely understand you when it comes to that. And I agree with everyone else. Like, it was definitely a bittersweet moment. It's good that we're finally holding our government accountable. But at the same time, like, why does it take this much just for someone of color to be served justice? And if we look at the other things that were going on, we look at everything going on with the AAPI community with COVID and all of those people getting harassed, and we have all of this support, but we have to go this whole way, almost an entire year later, and we're finally getting served justice. And I forget who mentioned, or if it was multiple people, but the moment we were starting to feel happy about it, we have 2 murders happen. So we can't even enjoy this step in the right direction because we see this young woman getting killed as well as this young man with his family right there. Like, how are we even able to enjoy that? So I definitely agree with everyone in that sense. Like, it's very bittersweet. And in terms of my educational and career goals, I am studying the administration of justice actually because of the Floyd case. I was studying political science, but I decided to be more concentrated in the administration of justice so that I can become a criminal defense attorney, because I'm tired of seeing stuff like this happen. So just as everyone was saying, it caused me to just keep my nose in the book, keep studying, and really it gave me that little bit of extra fuel that I needed, because in our justice system, although I'm going to try my hardest to fight, sometimes it looks like there's no hope. So the fact that like in the beginning, when the mayor mentioned something about the killing and he showed up to the funeral, and then 2, having it get this far, and then 3, having the verdict, like, I'm very hopeful that I won't be out there fighting alone.
I just want to applaud you all because we're looking at our future here, y'all. These are our young folks who are going to pick up the mantle and carry on this fight. And so it's really just as you're watching everything that's going on and you're thinking about it, you're like shifting your mental state to say, no, I need to keep doing what I need to do in order for me to make the change later on. And so this goes back when you think about Martin Luther King Jr., what he was fighting for. Now you guys have to pick it up and fight for something else, right? And so you all are correct that while the one verdict came in, we still have so much more work to do. And that's one of the reasons why we have to do things like these, have these discussions, right? Speak up on your campuses to ask for more pedagogy that is more culturally relevant so that our future generation itself can learn about our culture, understand how we can make the changes to make things much better for not just you alone, again, but future generations to come, right? And so with the issue that happened in the country, I was just curious because a lot of you mentioned the fact that, you know, with this 11:59 deadline, and I know the 11:59 because Canvas makes you that 11:59, right? So what are some of the resources or support that you have received on your campuses in helping you to deal with the issue of not just Mr. George Floyd's murder, but all of the other unrest that has happened in the country in itself? Were there any places that you could go to get the support that you need to kind of help you decipher? So you have this homework, but you have all of this other stuff that's going on. So what were the support system that was available to you to help you with that mental shift so you could also focus on your schoolwork as well?
For me, there's three things. One was the space we had in Strive Black Brothers. Two was we have Zoom meetings as a team. We have a mental health specialist who's also our assistant coach, Coach Gant. And then three, our boss at our peer guide is also a mental health counselor, and he does a really good job of knowing like when the space is appropriate to talk about work and knowing when the space is appropriate to acknowledge real issues that are going on around the country. So just talking about these things and sort of like when I have people that are like have power in my life, such as like a coach or a boss or a coordinator, and they sort of pause on the work aspect and go to the, you know, the real stuff, that definitely helps and sort of gives me a peace of mind that I'm like, okay, I can slow down, acknowledge what I'm feeling, voice what I'm feeling, and then get back to work. So that's helped me.
For me personally, this is actually like not a sensitive subject, but something that like I'm very, very passionate about. So with everything that's gone on with the Black community since I've been at MPC, I would have to say, I'm just going to have to say it. MPC failed the Black community as an institution. I'm going to tell you why. So with everything that was going on, like the many things that happened over the years of me being at MPC, nothing really has been said. Like maybe our superintendent sends out a mass email for everybody. And at first I thought that was enough. I was more than satisfied with that. But what really took me is that when everything started going on with our AAPI community, primarily our Asian community, all of a sudden I'm on our social medias, I'm seeing everyone posting about it. Oh, support our Asians, Asians Lives Matter. We're getting mass emails. We're getting emails about safe spaces taking place. Like, but where was all of this when we had people killed at the hand of our system? Like, I'm not trying to downplay what happened to the Asian community at all, but for African Americans, this is our norm. This is stuff that we have to fight through. And on top of that, no one's here to support us. If we speak about it now, we're the angry Black woman or the angry Black man, but something happens to someone else with a different skin color, and now all of a sudden their lives matter. So that was very discouraging for me. And I had to get the guts to speak up. And I went to multiple different places on my campus and I was like, what is going on? Why all of a sudden y'all care? Like, is it because I'm Black? I hate asking that question and I never do. But when I see it happening for another group that's not even like being taken by the own government that's supposed to protect us, like we were getting lynched left and right. We're getting abducted. We're getting killed by the police. We have people in uniform that are still getting harassed. But the moment something happens to another community, oh, y'all could turn in your assignments late. Oh, don't worry about class. We're going to skip out on class so that everyone who needs to take a minute can. Like that really made me feel some type of way. But I do have to say that while all of this was going, Emoja definitely was always there with our porch talks, which is just spaces like this. They were always there and willing to talk, and I really appreciated it. But it's different when everyone else doesn't, because it's harder to like acknowledge the positive when the negative is outweighing. So that one really had me feeling some type of way.
I want to piggyback off of that. I've definitely avoided talking about, I've obviously supported the AAPI movement. I've checked in with my AAPI friends. Like I said, in the area I live in, it's predominantly white and Asian. But just like the controversy, the internal controversy that I have with the AAPI movement, I don't want to say, for lack of a better word, like versus the BLM movement, but just seeing the inconsistencies between like the support that each movement receives. And it's like, I think back to like most Black people I know are down for whoever is in need. You know, we fight for everyone, but not everyone will fight for us. So I have so many Asian friends, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know if you can come over because my parents weren't born here and they see you as a threat. You know, they're not comfortable with you being in your home. So it's just things that aren't addressed that so many, you know, people of color is POCs. That's a word that's been being used a lot lately in the past year. I don't know how I feel about so many people calling themselves a person of color and sort of saying like they sort of identify themselves with the like trauma and hate that Black people receive, but it's really different because other minorities target Black people in similar ways that white people do. So that's very controversial to me. Obviously, I support the AAPI movement, but there's definitely some inconsistencies about that that need to be spoke on.
So I'm going to chime in on this one as well because I do share your views and see exactly where you're coming from. And I think one of the things that I've always tried to remind folks is to remember that when you look at all of the different groups, right, we're all in the struggle together. And I think somehow sometimes we get lost. And I went to this seminar and someone says this, that we pay more attention to the crumbs rather than paying attention to the cake that's on the table in itself, right? And so while we have Black Lives Matters, we have our AAPI community, we're all in the struggle together. And so I think as we move forward with all of this, I'm hoping that we as a people can see that we're all sharing the same common thing, right? And if we come together, we can make significant changes within this country. But we just have to be able to see that not because when one race is being kicked down, right, I should pick up my battle and support them and vice versa. And I think if we can all do that, I think really, really we'll be able to uplift each other and make significant change the policies that's happening, because those policies not just affect Black people, but it also affect other people of color, right? Regardless of how they might see it. So I truly appreciate you all sharing your thoughts with me. And I just have, I think we're getting closer to our time, our ending time here, and I really don't want us to go, but I have one more question that I just want to throw out at you, and then we could just have some final words and wrap it up. But the other question that I have, just piggybacking off what we were talking about in terms of the support system that you gather on your campuses. And I guess the other question I wanted to ask is, do you feel safe and welcome at your campus? And if so, why or why not? Right. So that would be my last one. And then we can have some closing. Any thoughts?
For me, I definitely feel safe on my campus and in the environments that I've been in. And mainly because I'm not scared to really ask people any questions or ask people for help or ask people what their opinions are of what's going on in the world. I mean, a lot of times you see people scared to talk about the basic truths that they see every single day. I mean, people can post hashtags and post black screens and do every sort of thing like that on social media, but I'm going to be honest with you, that has not stopped one Black person from being killed. A camera hasn't even stopped it, honestly. But I feel like throughout these environments, you know, you can't be scared to voice your opinion and say how you feel and when you feel it, because when you do that, you're being silent, and silence really is part of the problem as well. You know, there's a reason why so many people don't know about the Black inventions that have been going on throughout history, and the Black people that have not gotten credit for the things that they have done throughout so many times. Like I'm not really trying to pick on anybody, but there's a reason why kids in school keep getting lied to for years and years and years about Christopher Columbus discovering America, when really he didn't discover it. I'm just saying there was people already there. So, you know, we really got to voice our opinions on what we see and what has happened and let people know that this is the truth and this is what is going on.
I think that's definitely important. And that's something I'm trying to get like Isaiah. He's not afraid to talk to anybody, whether it's friend, foe, or anybody about how he feels. So that's something I've kind of had to check myself with. I try to avoid lately, just with all the heat and the climate, I try to avoid talking about politics and certain things that are divides with certain one of my friends, certain groups of my friends. And then that makes me think like, well, if I'm scared to talk about how I feel, then maybe, you know, those aren't real friends. So yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, as far as the institution goes, I've been blessed with knowing if something were to arise. I've been blessed with knowing who to go to for support. But similar to what Isaiah said, I'm not afraid to question people. I'm also not afraid to tell people when they're wrong. And so it's a blessing that we're virtual, because I think that less instances that may have happened haven't happened based on the fact that we're miles apart. But yeah, that's how I feel about the issue.
And I just agree with everybody. They said everything that I needed to say.
I remember what I was going to say. One of the things that has made me feel safe on campus is that the people in my life who I look up to, like Art or my coach or my boss, they've done a great job of letting me be well connected with a lot of different faces on campus, whether they're Black, white, or other minorities. So just being connected with people on campus has definitely made me feel safe.
So thank you all. This has been really inspiring for me, and I think I've learned quite a bit from you. And I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. And for all of our young people out there that's watching and being here with us today, I just want you to learn from these folks. Surround yourselves, as they said, a lot of mentor, family support, being connected on campus, being around people that look like you. Advocate to have more culturally relevant pedagogy within your classrooms in itself. Keep advocating for those particular issues, because I think it's really important as we push forward, because you will be the next generation to take up the mantle and lead forward. And so I'm so proud of you all, and I'm really truly blessed just to be honored to have this conversation with you all today. And so we wish you all the best, and we'll keep in touch. And so before we go, we have more upcoming activities that we want to share with you also. June is coming around, and so we have the Village Demand will have another webinar, and it's going to be our Juneteenth celebration. Again, a celebration across the nation. So please save the date for June 15, 2021 at 12 noon. More details to be followed, and it will be on the Village Demand's website. So you could contact us here. At our Gmail, email us if you have questions, and if you want to become a member, again, thevillagedemands.org. So thank you all for coming today and for just listening to our wonderful students. And I hope you were uplifted and blessed as we were in just listening to them telling their stories today. So thank you all.